الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله ما بعد. Today is the 10th of Ramadan 1445. We'll continue the Sira of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. So we saw yesterday that the life of the Prophet ﷺ can be divided into two periods. After Allah honored him with prophethood and the message, that means after he was 4 years old, each one of these periods of his life were distinguished from the other. So the Prophet ﷺ's life can be divided into two periods after he became a prophet. The Meccan period and the Medina period. So the Meccan period, we said, lasted approximately 13 years, and the Medina period lasted approximately 10 years. Now also each period is made up of different levels, each of these levels being specifically distinct and different from the others. So the Meccan period may be divided into three levels: the phase of secret invitation, the phase of public invitation. The secret invitation lasted for 3 years. Public invitation to the people of Mecca started from the beginning of the 4th year of prophethood until he migrated to Medina. So another 10 years. So first 3 years is secret invitation, the next 10 years was public invitation. And then there was the phase of invitation outside of Mecca, which starts from the end of the 10th year of prophethood until through the Medina period until the end of the Prophet ﷺ's life. So after 10 years of prophethood, that means the last 3 years in Mecca, he ﷺ, not only did he call the people of Quraysh to Islam, he also called people from outside Mecca to Islam. So this started in the 10th year of prophethood. That's 3 years before he immigrated to Medina. Of course, after he immigrated to Medina as well, that was also the period of inviting people to Islam outside the tribe of Quraysh. Now we're going to look at his state when he went to the cave of Hira. So when the Prophet ﷺ was approximately 4 years old, he had been accustomed to pass long hours in retirement meditating and speculating over all aspects of creation around him. So he ﷺ used to spend a long time in the cave of Hira pondering the universe and its existence. Now this meditative temperament helped to widen the mental gap between him and his compatriots, the people in Mecca, because usually people, they're just busy with dunya, trade, travel, wars, but he ﷺ had a different lifestyle that helped him concentrate on what's important in a person's existence. So he used to provide himself with sawiq, which is barley porridge, and water, and then he would directly head for the hills and ravines in the neighborhood of Mecca. So the cave of Hira, for the brothers that have gone there, is not too far from Al-Masjid al-Haram, and it's actually in a very tall mountain. It takes you about 2 hours to get there, and actually there's a lot of monkeys next to the cave today. There's a lot of monkeys there. Actually they live in there, people, they feed them, etc. But it's kind of a difficult track to go to the mountain. Because mountains usually you see them very nearby, but to get to the top of the mountain takes you a long time, a lot of effort. So he ﷺ used to get what he needs as far as food is concerned and go to the hills in the ravines in the neighborhood of Mecca. One of these ravines in particular was his favorite. It was the cave named Hira in Jabal al-Nur, Mount al-Nur. So the mountain where cave Hira is Mount al-Nur. Now also for brothers or for people that go to Hira, it's not a form of worship to go to the Hira. Basically you can go there as a means of tourism, right? Just to see this cave that the Prophet ﷺ used to go to. But some people, they go there and then they lie down in the cave and they say this is how the Prophet ﷺ used to do, so they think it's a ibadah. It's not, there's nothing proven about that. So either that cave or also the cave in the mountain of Uhud that he ﷺ went to after the Muslims retreated from the Battle of Uhud. Actually, recently they surrounded that cave with the fence, and they're gonna put a historical museum there. But before it was just open basically. You would go there, you would enter the cave where he alayhi entered when they were fighting with Quraysh. So that's good tourism, you know. If a person want to do tourism, he can go look at these places, you know, as opposed to go into Europe and other kafir places. So in any event, his favorite place was favorite resort was a cave named Hira in Mount An-Nur. It was only 2 miles from Mecca. It's a small cave about 4 arms length, so less than 3 meters long, by roughly it says 1.75 arms length, so it's roughly a meter. So it's you know, it's a very small cave. It's about 2 meters by 1 meter. He would always go there and feed any poor people who came to him. He used to devote most of his time, and Ramadan in particular, to worship and meditation on the universe around him. So he alayhi used to go there, especially in the month of Ramadan. His heart was restless about the moral evils and idolatry that were widespread among his people. It's normal. I mean, basically, he was on the correct fitrah, and he saw the evil of the society, idol worship, slaughtering for idols, injustice, wars in the sacred months, illicit sexual acts, because at that time they had 3 types of marriages. Okay, that's why you see, subhanallah, when we talk about Jahiliyyah goes and comes back. Before Islam, there were 3 types of marriages at the time. There was the marriage as we know it, which is basically a man with a woman with the consent of her family members. There was also another type of marriage where some women would have some flags, and about 10 men would enter, sleep with this woman, and then she would get pregnant. When she gives birth to this kid, she would look at the person among those 10 people that looked the most like this kid. So she would come and tell him, this is your son, and he would agree to that. He would agree that's his son. And then the third weird form of marriage that, of course, Islam prohibited was that, for example, a man would tell his wife after she's clean from her period, basically, you know, if there was a famous person in the society, or good looking, or he was courageous or something, he would tell her, go to such and such person, get pregnant with him, and then he would not touch her until she gets pregnant, and then she would give birth to this kid from another person, and then he would raise him as his own son. So these are forms of Jahiliyyah. Obviously, we have some type of Jahiliyyah too nowadays, so that looks like something that's weird to us. We have some things that are weird as well in today's society. But these were forms of evil practices that existed in that society before Islam came and banished the later 2 forms, and only the good one that does not make us look like animals remain. Because all other forms of a man being with a woman is like animals, because animals have no parents, no, you know, basically a sheep would give birth to a male, and then later on he grows up, you know, he becomes the one that gives her the seed for another sheep. These are animals, right? And many people, human beings, they imitate animals. So back here, these were evil practices in the society that he alayhi did not like. He was also helpless because no definite course or specific approach had been available for him to follow and clear away the ill practices existing around, because everybody was doing this. So to him, he was only one man, and it was impossible for him to change these practices. And that's why sometimes, you know, you may feel like that in the society, that, you know, you tell someone, don't do this evil deed, just a small example. You know, for example, in a Muslim country, you tell them, you know, don't do this form of interest. And they tell you, well, everybody's doing it. So of course, you know it's evil, but you can't convince people to stop doing it. This is just one example. So he ﷺ wanted to change the status quo, but he was helpless. Now, privacy and separation from the impurities of life were two indispensable prerequisites for him alayhi to meet what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had in store for him. Because Allah, through these practices that he alayhi did, staying away from evil, etc., Allah was preparing him to carry the great trust, the great message of Islam, to change the face of the earth and alter the course of history. It was a rich period of privacy which lasted for 3 years prior to the beginning of his mission alayhi. So this fact that he would go to the mountains, go to caves and stay alone lasted for 3 years before he was a prophet. So basically from the age of 37. The section called Jibreel alayhi salam brings down the revelation. When he alayhi salam was 4 years old, the peak of one's life, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, حَتَّى إِذَا بَلَغَ أَشُدَّهُ وَبَلَغَ 40 سَنَةً. The peak of a man's life is 4 years old. And then after that, his qualities start declining. And they say that it is at the age of 40 when most prophets were ordered to disclose the message. Most prophets were given the message of prophethood at the age of 40, because as we said, a person's qualities become complete at that age. He has more wisdom, because a younger person may be stronger, but then he may not be wiser, right? And usually in prophethood you need both strength of heart, strength of body, and also you need wisdom. Wisdom is very important to deal with people from different walks of life. So some say that prophets were always ordered to disclose their message at the age of 40. So included among the signs of prophethood were that the stones of Mecca would greet the Prophet ﷺ with salam. The Prophet ﷺ would be walking in Mecca and stones would say salam to him ﷺ. This was before he became a messenger. And we saw before that also the monk Bahira saw that the stones and trees were prostrating to the Prophet ﷺ when he passed by them. If you remember when he was 12 years old ﷺ, and he went with his uncle to Syria, and on the way they met this Christian priest that told him to send him back to Medina and told him that he has the signs of the best of mankind. And how he knew that? He knew that by the behavior of the trees and the rocks. Some person may tell me, well, this is impossible that a rock speaks. What are our phones? Silicon Valley. What's silicon? It's obtained from what? Sand, stone, and it speaks, right? Now it doesn't only speak; it actually cooks. It builds cars for Tesla. All from sand, right? This is the origin of silicon, right? It comes from sand. So if human beings are able to do this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is much easier for him to do that. So this was a sign given to him alayhi salam. So the beginning of his prophethood also started by him having dreams. He would not have a dream except that it would become reality, as clear as dawn. So he alayhi salam, I don't know if this was one of his dreams, I'm just giving an example. If he dreamt, for example, that two people would be fighting in the street, tomorrow he'd be walking and he'd find these two people fighting. Just as an example. I'm not saying this is what he dreamt alayhi salam. Just to be careful. I'm just giving an example. And how long did this situation last of him getting dreams? It lasted for 6 months. It lasted for 6 months before he was given prophethood. And the period of prophethood lasted how long? 23 years, right? So how many 6 months is 23 years for mathematicians? Times 2. It's 46 6 months, right? So we have 1 6 month over 46 6 months. That's why he ﷺ said, dreams is one of 46 parts of prophethood. Because he ﷺ received prophethood one part of 46 months, or 46 parts of his prophethood. So half a year of visions, 23 years of prophethood. Is that clear? Anyway, this is math. So basically, this is the meaning of the hadith, that the good vision, that sometimes you may dream something, as Rasulullah said, this is what's left from prophethood, that sometimes you may see a good dream for you, if you're pious, obviously. If you're a pious person, you may see a good dream for yourself, or you may see it for another pious person. Okay? لَهُمُ الْبُشْرَى فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. This is one of the explanation of this verse in the Quran. it's a ru'ya salihah. It's the good vision that a person can see. Sometimes you may see something and good things happen behind it. But of course, we should not go to the extremes. There are some sects that basically derive their creed in the religion based on dreams. They say, I dreamt such and such, so that has to be halal. I dreamt such and such, so I have to go and do this. I dreamt that, tomorrow I have to go and, take some money from some person. He comes and says, look, I dreamt yesterday that you have to give me $10,000. You have to give me $10,000. And people's like, yes, Shaykh, here's $10,000. And people do that. Right? We shouldn't go to extremes. Okay? Anyway, so the period of prophethood was 23 years. So this 6 months period, full of true visions, constituted an integral part of the 46 parts of prophethood. Okay, 6 months out of 23 years. In Ramadan, in Ramadan, in his 3rd year of solitude in the cave of Hira, Allah's will desired that His mercy would flow on earth, and that Muhammad ﷺ was honored with prophethood, and the light of revelation burst upon him with some verses of the Noble Quran. Now there's a side note here. It says that Ibn Hajar said that Al-Bayhaqi mentioned that the dreams continued for 6 months. Accordingly, the prophethood began with the dreams that occurred during the month of his birth, alayhi salatu wasalam. So Rabi' al-Awwal. 6 months after that, that's Ramadan. Then the revelation that came while he was awake began during Ramadan. So that's clear. He was born in Rabi' al-Thani, as we said, most likely the 9th day, not 12th day of Rabi' al-Awwal. And then 6 months later on, Ramadan would come. So the visions and the true visions started with him in the in the month of Rabi' al-Awwal. We have 3 minutes left. As for the exact date of when Jibreel alayhi salam came with this message, careful investigation into circumstantial and relevant evidence allows us to fix it to a Monday. Okay, so Jibreel alayhi salam came to Prophet salam on a Monday. There's a hadith that says that. There's no dispute about that. It was on a Monday. And the Shaykh rahmahullah says it happened on the 21st Ramadan at night, which according to the mathematical calculations, it falls on to August 10th, 610 CE, 610th Christ elevated. With Prophet ﷺ exactly being 40 years, 6 months and 12 days of age. Because as we said, he was born in Rabi' al-Awwal, in Ramadan he was already 6 months after 40. Is that clear? If something is not clear, stop me, because there are some numbers. He was born in Rabi' al-Awwal, right? 6 months later, he's going to be 40 years and 6 months in Ramadan, and that's when revelation came to him. So he was 40 and a half years. Now, the footnote here, and we're going to conclude today's session with it. The historians differ a great deal over the month that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala honored him with prophethood, and the month that the revelation descended. So there is some difference among the historians. A large group holds the view that it was the month of Rabi' al-Awwal. Another group says that it was Ramadan. Some say that it was Rajab. This was mentioned in Mukhtasar Sirat al-Rasul by Sheikh Abdullah al-Najdi. We prefer, so the Sheikh Mubarak rahimahullah says, we prefer the second view, that it was during Ramadan, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala specifically says in the Quran, the month of Ramadan in which was revealed the Quran. Shahr Ramadan alladhi unzila fihi al-Quran. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala specifically says that's the Ramadan was revealed was in the Quran. That when Quran was revealed, it was in Ramadan. And this is the meaning of his saying, we have sent it down on a blessed night. Inna anzalnahu fi laylatin mubarakah. Inna anzalnahu fi laylatin mubarakah. We have revealed the Quran in a blessed night. Verily we are ever warning. Also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadr. Surely we have revealed the Quran in laylatil qadr. Okay, a side note about laylatil qadr. Now most people are confused about laylatil qadr. Okay, and scholars have different opinions. Some say it's the 27th, some say it's the 17th, which was in the Battle of Badr happened. Some say it's the odd nights of Ramadan. The correct opinion was the one chosen by Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah. Shaykh al-Islam rahimahullah says, Laylat al-Qadr can happen on the last 10 nights of Ramadan in the odd nights, night of 21, 23, 25, 27, 29. If the month of Ramadan has 29 days. If the month of Ramadan has 30 days, it's going to happen on the even nights. The night of the 22nd, 24, 26, 28, and 30. Now, why is this the correct opinion? Because originally the Prophet ﷺ knew when Laylatul Qadr was. But because two companions were disputing about it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took away that knowledge. And he ﷺ said, seek it in the last 10 nights of Ramadan. If we go and narrow that to only the odd nights, it defeats the purpose of seeking in the last 10 nights. What the scholars said, because other hadith says, seek it in the, another hadith says, seek it in the odd nights. Here we talk about probability. Probabilistically speaking, the night of the 27 has the highest chance, highest probability that it would happen on night of the 27. Then the next highest probability for Al-Qadr to happen on the other odd nights, night of 21, night of 23, night of 25, night of 29. Then the next probability is for it to happen on the even nights of Ramadan. And Laylatul Qadr changes from year to year. Because the purpose of hiding the knowledge from us is for us to do a lot of effort in the last 10 nights of Ramadan. Is that clear? So Laylatul Qadr can happen any one of the last 10 nights, odd or even. But of course, it's a higher chance for it to happen on the night of the 27th. And then next highest probability is for it to happen on the odd nights. And then the last probability, which is a lower probability, is for it happening on the even nights, but it can happen. And this is the statement of Shaykh Islam ibn Taymiyyah. Now, why is this important? Because we don't know in the beginning if Ramadan is going to have 29 or 30 nights. So we don't know if it's going to be on the odd or even nights. So we're going to make ijtihad on the last 10 nights, all of them. And this is why the knowledge of this night was taken away from us, so that we can worship on these 10 nights. But people, subhanAllah, they want to do those, gambling thing, just, I'm going to bet on the night of 27. And some of the Muslim countries, what they do in billboards, subhanAllah, it's like, I can never stop being amazed at how Muslims, come up with stuff. You have billboards telling you, stay up the night of the 27th of Laylatul Qadr with this movie. People, they stay up watching movies on night of 27, saying, yes, I stayed up for... They think that the actual goal is for them to stay awake. It's weird, right? But I saw with my own eyes. Stay up Laylatul Qadr with this movie. So people, they're ignorant. They don't have knowledge. This is why we Muslims have to go back to the deen. They think that the purpose of Laylatul Qadr is for you to not sleep, irrespective of what you're doing. Listening to music, going outside, watching movie. The important thing is for you to stay awake. They think this is the purpose of Laylatul Qadr. Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us knowledge. But look, this is the Muslim ummah. These are our brothers. And I'm telling you, these are billboards I saw myself. And we have other places they tell you, you don't need, if you're busy with work, you cannot pray, you pay us, we'll pray in your place. And many people do that. Right, brother? So, subhanAllah, it's, that's why knowledge is very important. Okay, so we'll stop here. We went overboard by 3 minutes. We'll continue this section tomorrow, inshallah. But the thing about Laylatul Qadr is very important, so, because we're coming up on it, inshallah, and we have to make ijtihad. It's only 10 nights. It's a good investment for the rest of the year. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك اشهد ان لا اله الا انت استغفرك